So there you go. So Gérald is here with us. I already kind of explained to the participants here before, but we just ask you if you can visually introduce yourself as well as verbally when you present yourself, Gérald. So like just a short description, like I'm Chloé, I have blonde hair, I'm wearing a red sweater, and behind me is the Tour de Moon logo. So this will just help anyone who's blind and partially sighted to distinguish your voice and the voices of anyone else who's speaking. And we also have the closed captioning enabled as well. So Gérald, I'll hand it over to you.
Hello, everybody. I am Gérald. Today I am wearing sort of a purple and red, maybe sweat. I don't know how to call it, a blazer, maybe, I don't know. Like that, a tank top. I have rounded glasses. I have a bang, like a short bang. Makeup, bluish. I have beard today. I'm white with like ambiguity, and I am at my neighbor's house because the internet is crazy in Belgium. So I had to find a refuge, not a refuge radio, but a place. So behind me is like a big window with a reflection of a light and some like retro furniture somehow. I was just worried that you don't need a break. No, you're fine. Everybody's happy. We can go. We can move on.
Everyone good?
Everything super. So I'm gonna try to share the screen with you. I prepared a little PowerPoint here. Is this working at all? Step one.
I think you should be able to share your screen now.
Thank you. Hop. Otherwise, I have prepared the same. Oh, I have to open my. Yes. Okay. It asks me to quit and come back to Zoom. So maybe I will send you a link to. It will be easier. I will send you a link in the conversation to the same PowerPoint, but online. And then we can follow it together. Yeah. Where's the chat here? Up. Well, here you should get the link to the online PowerPoint. And I will also send you the link to another document that I wanted to share with you, which is the link, the page of the links of the videos I wanted to show you on the way. So, up.
Do you want to try again, Gérald? Because I think I changed something so that you could share your screen.
Okay. Might be better. Yes, it's
yeah.
Super, parfait. So, okay, before I jump to this prepared document, I can just tell you a bit about me. I define myself as a musician, but I use a lot the practices of performance to unwrap what I understand as being music, and especially vocal music. I have studied visual arts. In the 2000, like I ended the school around 2007, 2008. And then I got involved into two postgraduate programs. One was dedicated to electroacoustic music, and the other one is the one I am now currently in. It's called La Coopérative de Recherche, and it's a collective place where we basically give tenderness and interest to research and art, and especially to collective, to the way to share practices within the realm of research. So how can I be useful to another, or how can I make myself available to others in the frame of research? And this is in Clermont-Ferrand in France, so in the center of France. But I am living in Brussels, and my studio is in Brussels. So all the things that I do are basically here. And I am connected to the scene, mainly to the French scene, and the Belgian scene, but I have shown my work, performative work, mostly, I mean, on an international level, mostly in Europe, but sometimes in North America, it happened. Rarely out of this privileged cloud of like the North, like North America, Northern Europe. Voilà, so it's to be questioned, but it's actually how the production of contemporary art made me travel until now. And it's to be questioned for the future, but I will talk about that later. So today I wanted to talk about voice, but voice really understood from many different aspects. And I actually realized when I started working on that lecture that that if I went chronologically, there was a kind of a logic, sort of like moments of research around voice. So I'm going to follow this PowerPoint that I did. I have big titles with dates, and then I have projects I can talk about. And if you need anything, please just interrupt me. I won't be unhappy about it. So starting with this body of work that I encompassed under the umbrella term of inappropriate voices. So I was during all my studies, and also when I started to play as a musician in the world, because I was uneducated on the level of, I mean, on all performative practices and on all compositional practices, everything was self-taught. But like as an art student would do in the 2000s, so we were quite crafty. We were quite also a bit punk, and with an interest in like doing things ourselves. So I started writing songs and performing with like no specific skills on an academic level, let's say, but with, of course, a strong interest. But this thing of like imposter syndrome was present, but also a tool, like was also something that I could find energy in and find excitement in the fact of like playing the disruptive body, or like the body who was not necessarily allowed to do things. So I started like that alone, up to the point where I thought, but this is actually it's an important statement to allow inappropriate voices to speak out or to take the mic. So the first project I started to that helped me understand that thing very clearly was this project called Les Îles Artificielles, Artificial Islands. It also has an English title, which was basically me staying in an insurance company for 3 months with the employees and interviewing them every day on I mean, not every, I would interview them maybe eventually every twice a week, let's say, but about their everyday life, and especially about their internal monologue, like all the thoughts that were crossing their minds while working on the place of the office. So we ended up making this sort of like, I'd say site-specific musical, where the employees would sing what their thoughts were while working, and while doing this, were dancing the movements that they were doing on a daily basis. And this was, I mean, there is a video. I put the link if you want to listen to it, but I would rather take video time for other documents. But it's just to explain that this first experience was very moving, because I was discovering that a voice, all the affective power of a voice that's not educated. So a voice that's just discovering what it means to take space, maybe, or to affirm something, to speak about, to externalize the internal world, and also the collaboration with people who were not specifically, how can I say, had no desire to shine or to become stars or whatever, like really people who were just working in an office and enjoying doing experiments. So this was the first, let's say, fit into this awareness, which took me to another project called Hot Bodies Camp. And there I have to do a break, because I'm a break in the talk, because I have to talk to you about the Hot Bodies of the Future projects. So in 2017, because I was because I was unhappy about the fact that as a singer, I was always confronted to very non-politicized desires. So the professional people who were helping me tour, the people I was playing with, the bands I was meeting, or the artists I was meeting, seemed to be a bit in an escapism. Something in them was sort of avoiding the subjects even on that the music world was holding. So, for example, representation, but also the content, like who was allowed to say what. I like sometimes to have like flamboyant clothes, and I would get feedbacks from my collaborators or my managers who would say like it's a bit too gay, or maybe you should beware of like things that were extremely violent. And so at some point I stopped working with these people, and I decided to answer these violences in the shape of a project called Hot Bodies of the Future, where I would observe and allow the minority bodies to use the tools of music, to use the tools of the club, and to use music production to push further their revolution. So I would sort of connect my activist life and the possibility to speak out that a musical project, and I say musical project as compositional, but also what it means to put up a party, to create a record company, to facilitate the access to the mic, to share the mic, or to share the economy. So this project, Hot Bodies of the Future, is now, since 2017, my field of research, and all the projects I do connect to these questions in one way or another. So one of the projects, all the projects, almost all of them start with like Hot Bodies _ something. So one of them is called Hot Bodies Camp. In that project, I work with the students of mechanics, like car mechanics students, to build the possibility to live in a car. Like, so they sort of pimp a car for a few months and invent one track that could be the sort of the music. If their fiction, so they connect to a fiction. If their fiction had to be a musical, what would be the main track? So they write the track of the musical connected to the fiction in which they get inspiration for the pimping up of this car. So so you get the picture here. You can it's the same in the sheet of. Did I send you the link to this document? I'm not sure. Let me check. Chat. I think I did. Yeah, voilà. The second one, the document gives you the list of all the links, so you can. It's called Hot Bodies Camp. You can look at it later, or if we have time, we can look at it together. But as I said, I'd rather share more things later. Yeah, video. So I did a little reference, some little reference pages. So in that case, Jacques Demy, being this French movie director who really influenced musicals in the 60s, extremely not revolutionary at all, very problematic on a lot of levels. But the question of like high culture and low culture is interesting for me. There, Jean-Gabriel Perriot, who's like this cinema director, he's still active, who I worked with in the frame of a project we did in jail, and Christophe Noré. All these guys could have like. I mean, I don't value 100% what they did, but they were definitely very present in that moment. But let's talk about that later. So. This was the introduction of like inappropriate voices. And then I thought, I'm using this Ex.e.r.ce expression. It's a bit intellectual, don't blame me. But so this Ex.e.r.ce being the answer of the intimacy, so an intimacy that becomes a collective place, like a connective space. I started without really realizing in 2018, I started to make this shift of like being interested in, so of course, people voicing what they had to say, speaking out what they had to say, but also affects, like what were the affects connected to these voices. So how can singing voice, like really, and then I will really speak about technical vocal technique, how can vocal technique can help us connect to affects, so to political emotions, and voice being this place of very specific acoustic phenomenon, very specific frequency that allows us to receive, of course, the interpersonal information, but also maybe the political content of the expression. So one of the probably the biggest project to do so in my life, and it's still active today. So it started in 2018, but it's still going on. Is called Hot Bodies Choirs. So in that project, we have it started as a workshop. So the principle is that we get together with people who are willing to speak about feminism, queer politics, post-colonial studies, trans politics, xenofeminism, glitch feminism, like all these theoretical / practical clouds that we can want to either know more or practice or defend today. So we get together, we read together documents, or we watch movies that are connected to these issues. We share together, we choose together, and then we have conversations. And from these conversations, we write texts, and these texts are then arranged musically in two different ways. Either the people compose by themselves, and I will talk about that in details because it's where the vocal technique sort of appears, the emotional, political, sensorial vocal technique appears, and the other one is me composing electronic music for them. So I will share with you. So if you can go directly to the link number 3, if you have link number 3. Oh no, yes, link number 3 should get you to a place online. I don't want to share with you the video, but if you can go on your own browsers and maybe listen to 1 minute, 1 minute 30. Would it be okay to do so? Just for you to know, the group that you're seeing is the group of the Hot Bodies Choir in Paris. So they are still active today. We managed to work throughout the years together, and also they continued without me for quite some time. And the work and the song that they are singing is based on Les Guerrières de Monique Wittig. It's a book where Monique Wittig describes the collectivity of girls, women. It's not really clear. Maybe they're very young, maybe they're very old, and they do all sorts of stuff. So they eat together, they kill men, they have sex, they sleep, they live in a place that's not really described. It's like a total utopia, revolutionary utopia. It's very, very powerful. So we take 1 minute to listen to that, 1 minute 30, let's say. I will start again. We can discuss electronic technique after, like musical technique, if you want. Most of my tracks are made with Ableton Live, but I like to twist something, so I can share that later. So that's what we did. We started with like we started to write this song. So it's in French. Well, if you need translation, we can always discuss afterwards, or if you want to attend one workshop, of course you're welcome. We did one with the Manchester group last year for a festival, and so what I was interested in following this experience with them. So we wrote since that first song up to now, we wrote maybe 20, 25 tracks. Three of them are really arranged. 2 of them are like in progress, and the rest are spells. I will explain afterwards in a few seconds. Just to say that the question was for me, the rituals like in the Western world is it's strange, it's bizarre. I come from a Turkish family, and we have a lot of like superstition. Like we have a lot of things you shouldn't do, or we're surrounded with like powers, like things that are happening if you do something like that or not. When I studied in art school, all of this was very, very challenged, because I was supposed to become analytical and to be a bit skeptical about things. And it's still for me like sort of a problem in my mind. And when we started to do the choir, something very, very powerful was happening. And for me, it had to do with some kind of ritual, like some answer to the impossibility of saying something, or the impossibility as someone who's born as a female, so a fab person, to speak out, to speak about blood, to speak about strict catcalling, or like things that were not necessarily easy to speak out en général. So I thought a lot about like the importance and the role of voice in what we could call contemporary rituals, and I came up with this the question of like of where does the energy of voice come from? So what is the energetical trigger of voicing, and especially when we start to say I'm going to say real things, but not that the rest are not true or real, but when we start to connect to memory, like when we start to have a connection to memory, which I think is the absolute purpose of music. I think music is highly connected to memory, and in all aspects. I love music because I know I recognize part of it. I'm sure like that a lot of the musical listening is about recognition and the cognitive staging of like an emotional context or sensorial context. Or so I started to work around that, and discovered that vocal technique was could also be a bit made a bit magical. And I started to work on my own on my organs. So I tried to sing. So I don't know how many of you are practicing vocals. I guess many of you, but so you probably know about like what we call the head voice, the chest voice. I don't know if it's the right transition though, but we call it la voix de poitrine, la voix de tête, la voix mixed voice. And then there are deeper voices that are not necessarily talked about, but the energy is very different if you find your energy in the thorax, or if you find your energy under your belly button, or in your perineum, or in your feet. And I realized that the lowest I would get in my body, so if I start from the throat, so the first zone would be a bit like this hard, warm, had this like texture, like very, very sulky, very warm place. but also connected to the arms, to the hands. So to maybe connected to gestures like holding, like embracing, like the connections, like the chest, like the warm chest, you know, and then going lower, stomach, liver, pancreas, blood, do you call it spleen, la rate, spleen. So all that zone, much more nervous. So if I would sing, if I started to sing from that place, things were really very nervous, a lot of anger. I mean, for me, a lot of anger. Then going down, maybe more of an erotic, more sexual energy. So something I could really easily relate to. Not even it was not even imagination. It was really like very immediate and very spontaneous. So I started to share that, and based on that, we started this practice that we called mantra for 2 months, and then said no, we're not going to call it like that. C'est un problème. So we call it spells. And so basically, people are invited to connect to one place in their body. To either the ones that I just said, for example, the heart, the liver, or whatever, and to start to voice on an abstract level melodies. So when I say melody, it's really like really very simple things, but based on this long investigation of what emotions are contained in that zone of the body, and how this zone can eventually create a state more on a physical, global level. And based on that, they write what we call spells, so mini songs, like songs, a bit circular songs, very tiny songs, that have the purpose to communicate with these emotions, and if we add a bit of magic, to maybe act on the emotional memory of what is being spoken of. So for that, the example, you can go to the link, the link that goes just after the one I just gave you. Too many windows, of course. Here, it's the, I can put it in the chat if you want. I don't have access to the chat anymore. Voilà. So this song is called Ejaculate. It's a song that a trans man wrote in Vienna, reclaiming the possibility that ejaculate is should be available to all the bodies, and also so you will see in the video, the singers are describing places in their body, because that person was insisting on the fact that energy was you could not disconnect parts from the other, so they tried to connect to all the parts of their body. You will see it in the video. I think it's clear. So we take the time of that. Am I maybe not allowed to share with you? Is it working?
Which is it? Ejaculate one?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's let me see. Ejaculate. I think it should be ejaculate one. Yes. Yeah, I send you the. I know it should be a video. Should be a video. Yes, ejaculate one, the video. Yes, exactly. Sorry. Voilà, so this practice, we continue to do it now. I'm trying to really investigate in that and to maybe get a bit more detailed about like which organ carries, or how can we project more things on different organs. If you are interested in joining the workshops, of course, be welcome. We will try to, we're working next year on a big piece, like an hour long piece. Voilà, for the refs, well, of course, suffragettes, so the feminist the protest people. I'm sure you know about them, but if not, we can talk about it afterwards. Le Phare is the Front Homosexuel d'Action Révolutionnaire, like a gay, when I say gay, it's like including all the deviants. Revolutionary Action Group, Colin Self, the Berlin-based American singer who has this Ex.e.r.ce project, amazing. Helena Dietrich, based in Brussels, who does amazing singing classes called Divine Voice. Amazing, amazing, very interesting. And of course, L'International Feminist, which is this song, it's a feminist song that you would hear all across, of course, the Western world. But voilà. So again, we can talk about the rest later. So once I have traveled to these like Ex.e.r.ce groups. Also, of course, something I didn't speak of is the very important collectivization of the work of the voice. So because it's one person writing the text and eventually one person writing the melody, then it's the whole group to be the voice, to become the the extended, the augmented voice of that person. So it also has this very transpersonal and I think very important responsabilization of us as singers to sing the voicing of someone else, and maybe to enter also the emotion or the affective memory of another. So of course it's one of the purpose. It's not the only one, but it's one of the purpose. So then after these experiments, I had to come back a bit to me, to me alone. Not that I forgot about them, because we were still working on things together, but I had to also question loneliness and I mean, individuality and subjectivization, also the question of like subjectivization. And as I sensed I was sending these two refs, so the Cyborg Manifesto from Donna Haraway and the Glitch Feminism, which is this amazing document. I mean, it's a video, like video lecture you can find online, and also a publication. In both these literatures, we are strongly invited to consider technologies, and especially new technologies, as a possibility to glitch, to queer up, to disrupt dominant narratives. So in 2018-19, I was looking for ways to escape the LGB world. That, not that I disliked it, but something about it was a bit maybe like a mimic cry of the straight world for me, or something like that. So I needed something more fluid also for myself. I was starting my transition, so I'm still on the way. It takes time, but I needed this, like I needed these people to tell me, maybe with electronic music, maybe with tools, with instruments, I can start to shift. I can start to let myself glide into what I am or I would like to be. So I call it Becoming Cyborg. And this track, you could listen to it later, because I'm very bad with time and I would like us to have a talk. So this track is it was interesting because it was the first time. So it's called DDDW for Philippe. It's a track, an electronic music track. It's very, very abstract. It's just that it's the first time I did a track only with the sound of his voice. So he was speaking a text, and I took it and I cut it, and I used a lot of granular synthesis. I don't know if you know about them. It's like micro sampling. So I used micro sampling. I used a lot of like deteriorating VSTs on my little computer, and I came up with this like sort of like ambient track, which is for me an image of his voice, like a holographic image of his voice, a bit like a club track. Also at that moment, the club culture. I mean, I'm DJing since a long time, but the club culture started to make a lot of sense also for me when it came to like when it came to think about putting bodies in a state, liberating sexual energy, allowing just bodies to move out what they needed to move out. So this flirt with like electronic music from clubs was interesting for me because I was mainly writing love songs before, and it opened the way to a project, an electronic music project called Tarek X. So Tarek X being a sort of I mean a game with like my Armenian name, which is Arek, and the fact that I'm I mean, well, a little joke, finding an avatar, trying to slide out of like the figure. So I tried to to find an image, but bon, it was, you know, sometimes you try things, and the first single, like the first track that I released for real was called Fairies. So it was of course a direct how do I say, a call or like a wink, a direct wink to my sisters, my fairy sisters. So the Radical Fairies being this mostly gay, trans femme, but mostly gay political movement that values the possibility for a group to host the difficulty of being a gay person in the world. So this means hosting means like cooking for, but also means giving a massage, also means allowing an erotic, an unlimited erotic expression, but also why not games with gender, but I wouldn't call it really trans because it's a bit different. But so it was a direct link to this community. So I would love for us to listen to it. The link is just the next one on our collective document today. Is it the next one? No. Yeah, it's the number 6. So Fairies, it should come as an audio on the drive. Voilà. So if we can listen to it, maybe let's say 2 minutes until it sort of starts a bit to become too dancey. Okay. I feel like I'm super teasing, but I mean, the track is there, it's available. So what I wanted to talk about with this track is that it's the first step in my sort of artistic metamorphosis somehow. I mean, not that I always sing with that voice, but I use it a lot, and I'm going to explain why. So first, I'm going to talk a bit technique, because I think you all compose music, so that's maybe useful. So when I started to look for a vocal tool, something that would allow me to become someone else, but to become someone else, or to become someone that I could be, but that was not my organic voice. I had in my studio, I had this like Electro Harmonix V200 256 pedal, which is a vocal pedal, but it's really garage. It's really dirty. Like how do you say, the electronic components of it are really like first degree electronic components. So they are rough, and it's really not clean. But it can be cool in some aspects. It has some it has an interesting grain, interesting texture. But it was it would give the musical information, but it wouldn't give the movement of a presence, like the movement of an emotion. So I changed, and I went to this Helicon Voice Live. First, I had the second one, and then I had the third, and now I have the Extreme 3. And for me, up to now, it's the one I prefer for live, especially in live conditions, because it's quite flowy, and if you work well, if you use the parameters well, it's very active and it's actually very musical. I feel it's very musical. I also had this VT3 from Roland, but I think it's not really interesting for the pitch, but it's very interesting for the autotune. It's really like a very versatile autotune device. En plus, I was also interested in working with like VST, or like within the computer. So these three soft, like, collection of softs are amazing. So GRM tools it's really fantastic. They're extremely expensive, but if you can find them for a friend, or like crack them, it's because it's really like electroacoustics for dummies, so it's really very strong, very interesting, and not too crazy in terms of like using the CPU, your computer's memory. The ESACM, so GRM is it's an old, it sort of finished existing, but it's an experimental lab, sonic electroacoustic lab connected to the French National Radio. L'ESACM is like a center, like a new technology center applied to sound and acoustics, and a lot of other very pointu, very future. They're a bit on the edge of everything all the time, but they're very involved in like artificial intelligence, and also how do you say, generative music and everything. But they also have a collection of amazing effects, but that for me are really unusable for live conditions because they have always like a delay and like a latency, and it makes me crazy. And of course, I used Melodyne. I don't know if it's Melodyne or Melodyne. I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but this Melodyne is fantastic. I love this software. So it's something that allows you to, once you recorded your voice, your vocal track, but it can be any voice, could be an instrument voice or a physical voice, like a body voice. It allows you to reshape it to on a scale, so you can write choirs, and you can of course put things in tune if you are a bit imprecise, but also, I mean, it's really a very interesting tool. So these are the tools that I started using for the Tarek X project, and I just I just wanted to insist on the fact that everything is in really a good combination between the format and the pitch. Format being like really the shape, the timbre of the sound, and the pitch being the height. And I think I'm super happy if you want, we can get online together and just like work these knobs. But voilà, so that's for Tarek X. I released many songs, but because it's 10 to 8, I think I still have 10 minutes or 40 minutes. I don't remember.
You still have like 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Okay, so I have to shut up. Just before we stop, because of course I have much more to say. Just to tell you that I just finished last Friday a performance, like an opera piece, where I use a lot of so I composed the opera with an AI, and I use a lot of MIDI controlled. So I control vocoders with MIDI machines to create choirs, and it's really fantastic. So when I'm really done, I will record it and I can share it with you and invite you to the show. I just wanted to tell you that if you wanted to talk more about voice and tech, we can, because my arms are, I'm like full on in it. And voilà. So let's open the conversation now, and I can connect. We have 11 minutes together.
Yes, hello. Hello. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
I'm Odessa, I guess, yeah, I'm wearing a green dress. I'm in my dining room right now. And yeah, the talk so far was really, really interesting. Ooh, let me just move to the other side. Oh yeah, so yeah. I just have a question about using AI, and generative composition. I've studied it in my full-time university course, graduated and stuff. And I have worked with a few notebooks, and I've generated a few models. One thing that I find though is that working directly with machine synthesis, it takes a lot of time and takes a lot of actual energy or computing processing power to basically generate stuff. And I'm not entirely happy with the stuff that I get from training stuff using MIDI and control. Are there any more interesting ways of using AI or generative stuff in a performance manner?
Well, I am going to be disappointing, but it's okay, because I chose AI as I chose to work with AI specifically because it was disappointing. Because when I was studying electroacoustics, I was already working with Ableton and Reaper. I was working in my computer. I was very used to working with my computer, and my teachers were saying, yes, but you're losing 70% of your creativity if you buy a VST. So people who sell VSTs are basically choosing the sounds for you. And I was like, yes, but I mean, how about DJing? You know, DJing it's a question of editing, and I can think of Terry Temlitz being extremely articulate in what it means to remix, to really decide of the placements of instruments, for example, even if let's say 80% of the content is chosen. So when I started to think about opera, I was thinking, opera is such a bourgeois, it's such a wide practice that I wanted to almost create a feedback loop, to say, okay, so we're going to go into hyper deceptive composition. So the thing I came up with are very, very basic. So they go The physicality is totally out. So for me, I think I lost hope. The 7th minute, I tried working with a guy who had like an algorithm knowledge and everything, and I was like, okay, no, we will never get somewhere critical. We can never be critical against this thing. We have to use it in its annoying, mechanical, and so that's where I am now. Although I have to say that when the logic of an algorithm is applied to vocalizing through machine, it's kind of strong. There's a struggle of the body that's very, very interesting. And then I have to quote Holly Herndon, of course, 20 million times, and Colleen again. But I would agree with you. I would agree with you that it's not really satisfying musical progress, but it's useful for critical practices, I think. I would put it like that.
Yeah, thanks. I found kind of similar, with Holly Herndon, a lot of the time with working with generative stuff is that you spend a lot more time actually curating and going through hours and hours of content rather than actually making music. And that's not something any artist wants to do. Yeah.
No, and actually now I want to do only acoustic things. I was planning my next year, and I thought I would really just take bass classes again and go back to really playing and what my body can do as an answer. So might be partially an answer to what you say. But thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for your answer.
Does anyone else have any questions or anything they want to bring up?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi, thank you so much. It was so interesting to hear about all your different projects. They sound really, really interesting. I was interested in, was it ejaculation, where it was looking at where the voice relates to the part of the body? And I was wondering if you'd done work with instrumentalists relating to instruments.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I haven't. I mean, I have worked with the drummer, with whom we had interest in going in places of maybe letting letting your tempo out for a moment and just getting in states and go where we had to go. But I never actually tried with the instrumentist, and now it would be amazing. It would be really amazing. But I think it would be amazing, and it connects to what I was saying to your camarade, which was I'm discovering that I'm building interest in playing music now. I've been working with computers for 15 years now, maybe. I'm DJing with Ableton Live, which is I'm DJing with my fingers. It's really I'm very nerdy when it comes to electronic music, but the strength of presence and the demands of instrumental music is unique, and I have this temptation of maybe try to let go a bit of the computer in the next years to see how we can find the same things. So I'm thinking of their name, Marina Herlop, who released a record very recent. I mean, amazing record on Pan very recently. The live that she does, what they do, is only acoustics, and that person is a master of computer music, really, or master. I don't know. I don't want to use. Sorry for English, but so I learned from this. People like studio nerds, live music. I think getting the computer on stage now is a question for me. I don't know. So if you're interested in trying, we can try together.
Yeah, I'd be up for it. I'd be interested to see what instruments, like, and what pitches relate to different parts of different bodies, and maybe in different bodies, different like. Yeah.
Well, the reception of like acoustic vibration is already quite a thing. I mean, from going from piano, which is like extremely frontal and like where you're really like a membrane, and I don't know, for example, guitar, that's really very located because it's touching your belly most of the time. I mean, the sensuality, the quality of instruments are so different. Winds, you know, like. But it's highly interesting. I have to say, I never really thought about it, but it's really, really highly interesting. Let's keep it in mind.
Do you have any shows coming up in London?
London, no. Unfortunately, Brussels, if it's no, I'm playing, I'm showing the opera, but it's bizarre how disconnected the UK scene and the like this Belgium, Germany, Holland, France scene are. There seem to be a little, you know, lead there, which is a pity because I think UK music is always so brilliant and so interesting. I mean, I really wished I was more there. Manchester was a blast for me. It was incroyable. And I want to go to Glasgow, but this I don't know why I say that.
It's fun.
But no, I don't. Not in the future. I'll let you know if ever.
Thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you just something that now thinking about exchanges. I live here in a big studio where we actually host residencies and people. So, and we have a piano, like a stand, how do you call it? Piano droit, like a student piano, not like a semi big one. Like, but we have piano, we have amps, we have like recording things. I mean, you can come, and we're very happy to have people around. So if you need time and space, and you're a queer person, and you want to meet sex positive queer people, please tell us. I know. I think we have 1 minute to go. My mail is easy. It's Gérald with .Kurdian, my name, and gmail.com if you want to, or you can find me on Instagram. Should I write it in the thing?
Yeah, maybe if you can write in the chat like your email and some. Yeah, I don't know if you have your social media if you want everybody to follow kind of your.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, be welcome. Gérald X.e.r.ce is the social media. Most of them also almost answer this same name, and my mail is Gérald. I mean, of course, it's gmail.com and not /com. Voilà.
And maybe we have just a time just for Ines's question. What would you say is the position of your investigative practice relating to mantras and more religious singing?
Yes. So yes, very good question. Well, I'm not. I'm a superstitious person, but I'm not a religious person. I was not raised as a religious person. So, as I said, I have doubts, and I'm skeptical in some places. What I'm interested in is the possibility to connect to things that are not speakable. So on that level, I think that the poetics that we are reaching when we write together, or we practice the practice that I shared with you, it generates a mythology, it generates a relationship between imagination and emotional state, it generates a different kind of presence, a collectivity, and sometimes it also touches something about the atmosphere. I don't know how to say, but it sort of changes the quality of atmosphere. I don't know what it is exactly, but I definitely felt it, and I was not alone. So I don't think because mantra was the term we used really the 3 first weeks, because it felt like this sort of like rotative speech acts, like something that was like a prayer, or something that was that you could have, that was circular, that you could keep in mind, but that sort of was active. So we didn't keep it because, of course, we were not connected to anything of the culture of mantra, but something about the delicacy, and maybe the way we decide that the song is finished definitely includes the fact that it creates maybe something a bit magical, but I don't know exactly what that means. It's something that is abstract, but it's as abstract as what tells you that a song is done or a track is done. Like, what are the parameters for you to define that the track is done? I guess every one of us here has one specific relationship to music that allows you to say, now the track is there, and I'm concluding it, And I think as I say, I think the choirs answer a need for us to connect, to sing together, to vibrate together, and maybe to feel together. And it's all these parameters which can be felt as being a bit spiritual for people who want to put that imaginary there. But for me, it's quite simple. It's really about togetherness in the artist, using art as a way to build togetherness on many, many different layers, So that's that. I hope I never become a guru or something like that.
Thank you, Gérald.
Thank you very much.
Super, super nice
My pleasure.
to chat with you. And I'm sure if the participants have any questions, they can just email you or
absolutely.
or come see you in Belgium.
Yay! I mean, I'm playing 25th. I'm playing 22nd in Ghent, in Vooruit, at Vernulvier, and 25th, 26th in Theater in Brussels.
So there you go. They have to come.
Bah oui, of course.
Merci,
Thank you so
Gérald.
much. Merci beaucoup. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.